Chapter 3, page 75. The prophets have brought you on earth the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, as fulfillment of what preceded it through Nokodemion's teaching. And before this he himself taught his teaching to his peoples as a guideline or signposting/leading thought to distinguish between being fair and unfair, between right and unright, and between truth and lie, as well as between honesty and unhonesty, and also between respect and slander or calumny. And it is certain that those who deny the truth and the teaching of the prophets do not possess the Goblet of forgiveness, so they cannot forgive those who do terrible things to them. The measure of forgiveness is only given to the fair ones or responsible ones, and the knowing ones who forgive those who do terrible things to them. Truly, all life has been created through the laws of the wellspring of the truth or creation, and therefore they are the same laws according to which you were created in your mother's womb after fertilization or procreation. And it is the prophets who have brought you the teaching about how these things happen and how you shall behave in your existence and how you shall be openly connected to it at all times, so that you do not bring suffering on yourselves and do not rob yourselves of the life. The teaching of the prophets is of decisive importance for you and a guideline or signposting/leading thought of the life, and therefore a foundation for leading the existence. And the teaching of the prophets is not capable of different explanations, because it is one teaching only, and does not allow any misinterpretations. However, there are some amongst you who bear depravity in your thoughts and feelings, with the result that you think up from the teaching different explanations against the truth, because you want to lead into confusion, and are looking for strained interpretations, or falsifications and contradictions, in order to sow the seeds of discord and delusion. But none amongst you who are looking for ambiguity and untruth, and are spreading falseness and delusional guidance, none of you know the true explanation of the teaching, because the real truth of the knowledge of the teaching is known only by those who have based their knowledge on the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation. Do not belong to those who deny and falsify the truth, because they will receive a poor reward and will suffer harm, since they are punishing themselves and are without true joy and friends. And know that the teaching of the true prophets is based on the truth of the laws and recommendations of the creation, and know that the teaching is only understood by those who willingly bring forward the understanding for it, and who turn to the real truth. Make sure that you comprehend and understand the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, so that you will not become further depraved in yourselves, and will instead escape from your depravity. See that you always guide yourselves rightly, and be yourselves vouchsafers or guarantors/authenticators/obligators for all things that you shall do rightfully, in order to lead your life in honesty and equitableness or fairness. And you will certainly keep your promise that you make if you are fair ones or responsible ones, and ones knowing of the truth, and are without doubt in this. And if you also give a promise in front of your entire species of people of your kind, or human species, as fair ones or responsible ones, and knowing ones of the truth, then the people will gather before you on the day when you give your promise, and the people will thank you, and will give you its trust. However, all of you who persist in being unfair ones or irresponsible ones, and ones who have no knowledge of the truth, you will gain no benefit from all your property and wealth when you are looking for true friendship, because only people of your kind, or fellow human beings, will turn to you and your children. You unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, and ones without knowledge of the truth, you are the same as those who were unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, and ones without knowledge of the truth before you, and who condemned the prophets' signs, or evidence/marvels, and their teaching, for which they reaped iniquity and harm, as will be the same on your way. You unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, and unknowing ones in the truth, who are chained to a belief in a god or tin gods, you are allowing yourselves to be overwhelmed by unright and by false teachings and lies. So you collect or store up in yourselves everything that burns in a terrible state or condition of the psyche and the inner world or consciousness, as the fire of the realm of the shadow world or realm of hell, and truly this is a terrible state or condition, and is no place of rest in which good liberation, or joy/gratification, and rest can be found in love and peace, as well as in freedom and attunement or harmony. Truly, the prophets have given you signs, or evidence and marvels, so that you shall turn yourselves to the truth of the creative or creation, and shall fight for the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, in a peaceful wise, without weapons, and through rationality and intellect, with good words, so that love may grow all around you, as well as peace and freedom and attunement or harmony. And care for the sick, and watch out for their healing, and offer consolation to those in mourning, and be helpful to them in all things that they need. Strengthen your support for all those who require it, so that they will also become strong and can give their support to others. And open your senses to the teaching of the truth, so that you will become knowing in it, and be able to lead a life that fulfills the laws and recommendations of the creative or creation. Consider, your life is made beautiful through all the gifts of the creative or creation, through all the things that you desire, through your women and men and children, through all the animals and other creatures, the plants and trees, through the entire appearance or nature, and the amassed piles of those uncountable things that bring you joy and pleasure. All of this is supplied for your existence by the creative or creation on earth, which is your beautiful homestead in your life. And there can be no better news for you than that you will have a comprehensively good existence if you follow the teaching of the prophets, which is the teaching of the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation. And if you uphold love and peace amongst yourselves, as well as freedom and attunement or harmony. For those who fear the unright and unknowledgeness, the vast garden of the truth is full of good and nourishing fruits, and the streams which flow through the garden are full of good and healing waters. And you shall live in this garden in pleasure, so that you live in love and peace, and fulfill freedom and attunement or harmony. And see, when you are present in the truth, you will forgive the fallible ones and prevent yourselves from doing unright. And if you are steadfast and truthful and obedient in following the teaching of the prophets, which is the teaching of the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation, then you will be free in your thoughts and feelings and will lead a praiseworthy life. And know that the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation establish or confirm that there is no primal raising or creation except for it. Therefore, there are neither gods nor tin gods, nor people of your kind or human beings, or liberators or angels, and demons who stand above it. And so know that those who possess the true knowledge about the real truth are the keepers of equitableness or fairness, whom you shall follow, so that you too will be fair and connected to equitableness or fairness. Truly, the true teaching of the truth, teaching of the Spirit, teaching of the life, is the teaching of the laws and recommendations of the origin or creation, as it is explained by the prophets. And only the truth teaching brings the acquiescence or forbearance that the fulfillment of the life demands, so that life may thrive and not wither. Do not allow yourselves to become disunited in the teaching of the truth, and do not allow envy to come over you for its sake, because the teaching is indubitable. Therefore, it cannot be misconstrued or incorrectly explained, because it is given in clarity and cannot be twisted or falsified. And whoever denies or twists or falsifies the truth of the teaching and its true explanation of the teaching is guilty of committing a lie and slander or calumny. And truly, whoever is guilty of committing a lie and slander or calumny truly has no loyal friends who could keep him or her grounded in the face of misery. If those who are traitors or turncoats or secessionists, or adversaries to the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, dispute with you, then do not surrender to them, and do not follow them. If, however, you surrender to the traitors or turncoats or secessionists, or the adversaries to the teaching of the truth, then you will be badly led and brought onto the path of confusion, so that you do not find the way of the truth, and do not fulfill your duty of the present existence, because you are following false messages, and are also yourselves passing on or spreading false messages. Truly, the unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, and traitors, the turncoats, or secessionists, and the adversaries who deny the signs or evidence of the truth, and with a false tongue, or insult, twist it to their advantage, they are the ones who are falsifying all signs or marvels, and the truth of the teaching of the prophets, and the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation. And they are liars, as are also the scandal mongers and priests, who call on their god or tin gods and raise themselves to the status of their representatives or substitutes, and who commit bloody deeds or murder in their name, and kill and pillage in other respects, just as they also defile women and children, or have such misdeeds conducted by their henchmen. And these unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, are the ones who talk about the gods and tin gods that they have thought up or invented in their greed for might and their avarice, and who preach love and equitableness or fairness in their name, whilst, on the contrary, demanding hatred and revenge and retaliation for everything, if you oppose the fabulated or invented will of the gods and tin gods, although in truth this is an opposition against the bondage of the priests, and therefore against the servants of gods and servants of tin gods, because gods and tin gods are not real, but are mere fabulations or inventions by those who obtain worldly gain from these lies. All the deeds of the unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, who set themselves over you as servants of gods and servants of tin gods, are naught, and you shall neither be a believer nor a helper of them, because if you are, then, like them, you will be far from the truth, and far from the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation, and therefore also servants of gods or servants of tin gods. However, if you are believers in gods or tin gods and in servants of gods or servants of tin gods, then you are acting in the unright, like them, and against the truth and the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation, which are given in the regulation, so that you shall be yourselves, and therefore that no might shall stand over you, which you are obliged to follow, except for yourselves, in your own responsibility for all things which you approach and which you perform. And if you have cognizance of the truth teaching of the prophets, and if you follow the teaching of the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation, then you shall be called upon to lead your life in accordance with the guideline or law and recommendation / signposting / leading thought, and therefore in cognizance of the truth teaching, you shall call on yourselves to decide or determine rightfully between good and evil, and between right and unright, because you yourselves shall be truth, and not turn away from it in unwillingness. The fire of the untruth shall not touch you, not even for a limited number of days. Do not be accustomed to falsifying the truth yourselves, so that you may not be deceived in your knowledge about the truth. If you gather on a day and in a place in order to listen to the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, then make sure that there is no doubt in you, so that you merit in honorableness the knowledge and wisdom and equitableness or fairness which is given to you, so that you do not suffer any unright in your knowledge about the truth. Pass on your knowledge of the truth of the laws and recommendations of the primal raising or creation, and the teaching of the prophets, to whom you want, and take the truth and the teaching from anyone, from whom you want, but do not set yourselves above others with it, so that you do not debase them. Take everything that is good, and everything that is truthful, then you will have might over all things in you. And do not allow either day or night to pass without you learning, and without turning yourselves to the truth of the primal raising or creation, and its laws and recommendations, because everything living comes forth from the truth of the primal raising or creation, and its laws and recommendations, just as from the living the lifeless comes, from which, in turn, new life emerges. And pay attention to what and how you pass on the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life, in truliness, so that no misunderstanding may arise, and no ambiguity may come forth. And pass on the teaching of the prophets to whomever you want, and do it without measure, but only ever if you are asked to do so, so that you and the teaching may not be unwanted and do not create vexation. Believers in a god or 10 gods, as well as those who are unknowing ones in the truth, and unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, may be your friends, because they are basically people of your kind, or human being, as you are, and you shall respect them as such, but do not copy them in their unknowledge, in their inequity or unfairness, and in their serving gods and serving 10 gods, so that you may be free from this, and will not enter into any connection with their doings. Gird yourselves with caution for the doings of your friends who are unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, and unknowing ones, and believers in gods and 10 gods, because they are passing by the truth, and are thinking of leading you into their delusion if you allow yourselves to be misled by them. Therefore, be warned, and only act rightfully, as you are told or recommended, by the real truth of the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the Spirit, the teaching of the life. If you conceal some untruth or dishonorableness that is in your inner world or consciousness, or if you make it known, then be certain, or knowing, that you cannot keep it secret for a long time, because untruthfulness and dishonorableness will come to the light of the truth at their time. Therefore, you shall not lie, or do honorless things, so that you may always have might over your words of the truth and honorableness. If you have fallen prey to the untruth and dishonorableness, then consider the day when you will be gathered by others and convicted of lying and dishonor. And it is held against you that instead of doing good and fair or responsible things, you only did evil and unfair or irresponsible things. And when this day comes, you will wish that there was a great gap between the day of giving account and your unfair or irresponsible and evil doings. Therefore, be warned against your own shame, even if others are benevolent and kind to you. If you love the truth of the laws and recommendations of the origination or creation, then follow it, and it is certain that you will be respected and loved by all those to whom you do good from this truth. But if there are bad ones amongst them who are unknowing in the truth, and are unfair, and will therefore do evil to you, then forgive them their faults, because as unknowing ones and unfair ones, or irresponsible ones, they do not know what they are doing.